Hello, synthesizer people. Today I'm going to look at an early development project called SynthVR. It's a modular synth environment, similar to VCV Rack or My Rack, but it's on Oculus Quest. So I'm super excited to look at it. I'm just getting into the world of virtual reality and also just getting into the world of modular synthesis. I'm also getting into making videos, so I thought I would try it out and record like first reactions and just for some context, here is the Reddit post where I found out about this. The developer is called 42 Tones, and you can try this project out by downloading it for free from SideQuest. Without further ado, let's dive in. All right, here we are in SynthVR. It's this kind of like low poly vaporwave coliseum. I'm really into this, and there is this beautiful case in front of us. Turn around, I can see, looks like we have to click the thumbstick to open the menu. And it seems sort of similar to Tilt Brush, where we have these two, well, I guess they can both do the same thing, but sort of pie menu things. So here we go, modules. Let's just put them all in there. So we have an oscillator, an output module. Probably the output module is the place to start. How do I teleport? There we go. Oh, trigger. Cool. So got our output, let's just put that there. Oscillator, probably gonna want at least two of those. Wow, this is really interesting. There are these virtual knobs right in front of me, and I can just twist them, and these cables are pretty cool too. Oh, be careful not to do that. I'm just gonna put them, all the modules that are currently available, onto the rack, and then let's just make something from that. So right away, something I'm noticing is placing it into the rack is a little fiddly, but see, it's just a little tricky to, there we go. Let's get an oscillator going into an amplifier, that output going to our output module. Wow, it's so tactile. So it's interesting that when cables are connected, if you move the modules, it breaks that connection. So let's go oscillator into amplifier, amplifier to speakers. Turn the CV mount up, turn the level down, and let's put an envelope into the CV in of the amplifier. Let's get a trigger from this sequencer, and let's get the clock from the clock. Oh, that's right, we have to get the value of the sequencer going into let's actually use the split to multiply the CV sequence we have going on. And then let's send that same CV into the release of the envelope. It's kind of weird how the clock multiplier, you turn it counterclockwise to get multiplications and clockwise to get divisions. I would expect the opposite to be true, but FM going on. Alright, so we got a little frequency modulation patch going on. It is so fun to just be able to play with a virtual modular synth like this and have it in front of you and to be touching it and to like see it in 3 dimensions. Yeah, this is really exciting to me. Let's get another sequence going. So one critique I have, first impression, is that it's way too easy to break the connections to the cables just by moving the modules by accident, or I don't know, I feel like I'm always accidentally unpatching what I've patched, and it takes me a second to realize it. You can't stack cables, or you can't send the same output to 2 different places without using a split module. So we have 2 different sequences going, and let's send the value of one of them to here. So here we have one sequencer sending CV into an amplifier that is receiving the CV from another sequencer. So these sequences are playing off each other and connected, and that's getting sent to our first oscillator. So now let's take that one step further and frequency modulate our second oscillator with that. See, there it happened again where I broke the connections and now it's taking me a second to recover. Yeah, so even just so much as touching one of the modules not on a knob breaks the connection. Okay, so we achieved this nice, bubbly, squeaky FM sequencer patch thing in virtual reality, and honestly, I got lost there for a few minutes, just patching things and turning knobs, and I mean, that's what Modular is all about, right? So that was SynthVR version 0.21 alpha. First impressions, wow, that was really exciting. It has tons of potential. This is like the kind of thing that gets me excited about VR. So definitely if you have an Oculus Quest, go get it on SideQuest. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And here are some additional things I want to add after spending another day with it. The biggest limitation of this version is the lack of a way to merge or mix signals and the fact that there are only 2 outputs. So you only have 2 audio signals to work with. Also, in some more complex patches I did, I noticed that the audio began to crackle sometimes, but in other patches that didn't happen at all. It took me a bit to realize that you don't actually have to put the modules in the rack, they can just be freely floating in space, and I found I actually prefer this way of working more. The biggest annoyance, like I said before, is cables being broken when modules are touched or moved. This is especially easy to do by accident while working with the tiny sliders on the sequencer. I understand that this project is really early in development though, so I don't want to rant on about all the things that I think could be changed or added. Instead, I wanted to touch on more generally why I think VR is an exciting new medium to make music in. Virtual spaces are made entirely of data, so just imagine all the ways that you could interact with it. The position of you in the virtual space, objects, the environment itself, everything could be mapped and transformed into strange new places to make music that aren't necessarily possible in the physical world. Which is why projects like SynthVR aren't only exciting for their potential to emulate real instruments, but for their potential to create new ones that would otherwise be impossible. Kudos to the developer, 42 Tones, for making this. I guess that's all I have. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.